What's up, everyone? It is Saturday, January 28th of 2023. It says we're live, so as always, I'm going to take its word for it and put my trust into technology. Welcome back, everyone. This is the Family Education and Support Group, offered for free and for fun each and every single Saturday here for the past at least 3 years on these type of virtual platforms, and at least, almost a decade in real life. What's up, Jim? What's up in advance to everyone that's about to come up and say hi? Grateful for the opportunity to be a part of your weekend once again. And I look forward to you finding some value here. So what are these Saturday Family Education Support Groups? They are intended to provide information on addictions, on mental health, on the recovery process, on communication, on rebuilding trust, self-care, setting boundaries, and a little bit of everything in between, I like to call it. And today's going to be a little bit more of the exploration, personal development type of recovery. And I'm going to highlight some questions that everybody watching this, including myself, needs to and must ask themselves at some point in the recovery process. And what's up, Mina? What's up, Jess? What's up, Mom and Dad? Good to see you here as always. The funny part is, even if it was just me and my mom and dad doing this, I'd probably still do it. So grateful for everyone else that pops in, and hopefully we can spread the message and spread the word and get this out to whoever you want. I'm super committed to this process, and I'll continue to show up as long as there's no conflict. So out of a 52-week year, I probably do this for a good 48 of them, and all the previous videos are available too, and feel free to watch them. I don't sell anything here besides the possibility of human transformation. So if you want to call me a salesman, and what's up, Tony, and what's up, Marina Harbor crew? Good to see you guys and girls. Thankful that you're a part of this journey too. The only thing I do sell here is, like I said, the possibility of human transformation. So if you want to call me a salesman for that, feel free to. I only sell the things I believe in, and that's something I believe in, that any human being, including this person sitting in front of you, has the ability to transform who they are, how they live their life in any given moment they choose to. Any given moment. We can transform moment by moment in life, and why not now? So like I said, my name is Param. I have a master's degree in marriage and family therapy. I always say with an emphasis in child development. I am a licensed advanced alcohol and drug counselor. So all the addiction, whether it's behaviors or substances, I have a good, strong familiarity with it. I'm also a high school basketball coach. We've been struggling a little bit in the past few days. We got a game today in a little bit, so my talk might be a little bit shorter. I got to go change and put on my coaching outfit and go off to a school, and we're playing today. And what else do I got here? I'm in personal recovery. I know that matters for some people watching this. So if you're a family member worried about your loved one not knowing what recovery is possible or what it looks like, I'm a person that has gone through the process. June 13th of 2008 is the day that I call my transformation date, and the date that I changed my entire trajectory of my life around. And I'm also a college instructor, professor as of this week. So that's pretty cool. But all that being said, let's get into today's talk. So today's talk is called 7 questions to ask myself, or to ask yourself, as it relates to your life and relates to your recovery. Okay, and I got them. I can pull them up one by one. So the first one that I have is question number 1 is, am I investing in myself? So what does that even mean? What does it mean to invest in self? So in order to invest in self, we have to break self down. I like to break self down into various compartments and components. One of them is our human mind. One of them is our human body. One of them is our human spirit or soul, however you want to look at that. Okay? And the spirit and soul is something that is very unique and lives within each of us, that needs to be taken care of, that needs to be loved, that needs to be nurtured, because life does a really, really good job at sucking the soul out of us. Like if you think everything's going well, all of a sudden life's going to be like, hey, here's something that you weren't expecting. And sometimes those blows to the gut, to our spirit, that make us question everything and everyone and all that kind of stuff is what I'm talking about. And you've all experienced it on some level. So when I say, are you investing in yourself? You got to look into those compartments. So what does investing in your body mean? Well, it's like, hey, you have this one body that you live in. You have this body that takes you from point A to point B. You have this body that endures the stressors of life. You have this body that is the vehicle that you live within. How do you take care of that? Think about your car. If you don't have your car do oil changes, if you don't put gas in your car, if you don't change the fluids of the car, if you don't rotate the tires, if you don't change the flat tire, if you don't listen to the check engine light, all that kind of stuff, the car doesn't have the ability to sustain 5 years, 7 years, 8 years, 9 years of life. It breaks down. So the human body is the same way. Now we're blessed because the body can endure way more than a car can for some reason. Go figure. But do you invest in it? And then when I say, do you invest in your mind? Do you feed your mind things that nourish your mind? See, there's two schools of thoughts on this. There's certain things that you can put into your mind that drain your vitality, that are mindless. Like if you're sitting down binge watching 17 episodes of a reality TV show, your mind doesn't get fed. Your mind doesn't get nourished. You're not investing in your mind. If anything, you're just doing something really a mindless act, oftentimes as a coping skill to be distracted from what you really need to be focusing on. But investing in your mind, investing in your body, and investing in your spirit. And what does the spirit part mean? Doing things that reach and touch your soul. Doing things that reach and touch your spirit. I know you all know what that means because when you do those things, you feel connected in ways you otherwise won't. Helping out a human being that has nobody to help them, right, is an act that could feed your spirit and your soul, right? It's beyond the level of routine things we do on a daily basis. If we don't actually consciously say, how am I going to feed my spirit and my soul today? I'm not investing in that. And one day I'm going to wake up spiritually broke. My soul will have a hole in it. So that's the first question I need all of you to start looking at is, am I doing something today? Not like yesterday, not tomorrow. So by the way, these questions are all about today. Am I doing something today that touches all of those? And if you do, if you're able to touch all three of those, guess what? Tomorrow, you invest again. You invest again. Just like the markets and just like the way money works, there's this thing called exponential returns. There's this thing called, when it builds upon each other, compounding interest. I don't know. There's a lot of people that say one of the wonders of the world is compounding interest. If you really understand what it's like to invest $2 a day for an extended period of time, down the line, all of a sudden that $2 turns into millions of dollars. And you're wondering, how did that happen? If you started to do it when you're 18 years old, that's compounding interest. And in investing in yourself, mind, body, and spirit, it compounds. And the main reason it's important, the reason I'm taking so long on this first question, is because if you don't do that, one day life is going to come and give you a blow. Life is going to shake you. A doctor is going to give you a diagnosis. You're going to hear some news about your loved one. Your thoughts are going to start to get deranged and worried and scared and fearful and scarcity and all that kind of stuff. If you don't invest in yourself when that time comes, and my friends, that time is coming, that time comes for all of us. When that time comes, you're not going to be ready. You're not going to be able to handle it. So this is the time today to start investing in all of those things. And anybody, if you have any questions, comments, feedback, feel free to put it on the board. I have a good job. I can pay attention to both. So the next one is, am I taking time each day to think and reflect? Now, you might think, well, hey, man, I'm thinking all the time. My brain doesn't stop thinking. I'm an overthinker. I just think, and I can't shut off my mind. I'm not talking about the automatic type. When you're just driving and you can't stop thinking, you're laying in bed and you can't stop thinking, you're sitting down somewhere and you can't stop. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a time you sit down, probably with a pen and paper, or you sit down in a quiet space without any type of clutter with the intention to think, but more importantly, to reflect. So the thinking that you're talking about is always future-based, is always future tripping, is always worried about what's next, what's next, what's next. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm saying think and reflect. Reflection always goes backwards. So when I sit down, I'm going to reflect back on the day that already passed, not the day that's coming, because I have no control over that. I'm going to reflect on the day that passed, or I'm going to sit down on a Sunday and reflect for the week that passed. Because when you reflect back, you see what you did well, what you didn't do, and what you completely did wrong. Now, when you identify all of those things, you can apply them to today, so tomorrow and next week can hopefully have a different outcome. Does it always change the outcome? No, because there's too many variables in life. But by doing so, you might be able to all of a sudden look back and say, hey, my day was just a little bit better, 5% better, 10% better. And sometimes that's all we need to say, you know what, today was a good day. So thinking and reflecting are two different things. One is automatic, one is unconscious, one is intentional and deliberate, with the goal of being able to set yourself up better for a better tomorrow. Okay. Question number 3, where are you? Am I doing what I love to do? If the answer to this question is no, I strongly suggest as someone who you listen to or you're tuning in to kind of get some inside information, you got to switch it up. You got to switch it up. This life, this thing we called life, that starts from the day you're born and ends on the day that you pass away, is so freaking short to spend it doing things you don't want to do. And trust me, I get it. Some of you say, well, I'm in this job that's miserable. I can't stand my job. I hate my job, but it pays the bills. So you become a slave. You give up your freedom to do the things that feed your soul because of this fear of financial insecurity, financial fear, financial stress. I'm telling you this, sometimes even taking a pay cut and eliminating some spending habits that you have in some ways that you manage your money and just taking a step back from a current lifestyle you have, sometimes produces the freedom, the excitement, the joy for life again. It's not all about making your ends meet all the time, my friends, because guess what? When you sacrifice your love and your passion and what you really want to do, you're missing the mark. You're not making your ends meet when it comes to yourself and your life. Okay, you did a good job with the finance piece. What about your soul? What about your heart? What about your vitality? What about your enthusiasm? What about your passion? What about your purpose? Like that, Tony, same words, bro. Passion and purpose. What about all that? Doesn't that have a price tag? Passion and purpose doesn't have a price tag? I can't, whenever I talk to someone and they sit and they just tell me how miserable they are because they're doing all these things they don't want to do, I want to grab them and say, well, stop doing them. Get rid of the stupid story you have that you have to do this to survive. No, you don't. You don't have to do it to survive. You think you do. There's 5,000 versions of survival. Yeah, you might not be able to go buy all the crap that you normally want to buy. You might not be able to go and spend the money you want to spend somewhere. But how free do you want to be? I'd rather sit at home, broke, eating peanut butter jelly sandwiches. I really would be. Doing something I love, not making as much money, or doing something I hate so I can go out to have really, really nice, fancy restaurant food. But I get to experience that. Like, come on. Yeah, here it is. It is a journey. So finding what you love is a journey. Embrace the change. So you might try something thinking that you might love it and it might not be. You might do it and say, I thought I'm going to love this one, but I didn't. Well, that's why it's a journey. That's why it's a journey. And once you find it, though, stick to it. You know, one thing I do really, really well, the reason I have so much energy and enthusiasm and passion is because all of the things I do in my life, whether it's the work I do at Buckeye, whether it's the coaching basketball for 14 years, whether it's my personal recovery, whether it's when I spend time with my mom and dad on the weekends, whether it's playing pickleball, excessive amounts of pickleball every single day to the point that every joint in my body hurts, to being a college professor now, I only do the things I love. And that's why I always feel so good about it. I don't do things I don't want to do, man. Here's the thing. I might go out today and something bad might happen. You know, I'm about to be 40 years old next year. If I'm lucky, 40 more, if I'm lucky, but it could be somewhere between tomorrow and 50 years, right? That's pretty much what it is. And I don't know when that time is going to come. You really think I'm going to spend it doing the things I don't love to do? 0% chance. 0% chance. Like I said, I'd rather be living in the smallest little shack by myself, happy, than I would be living in a really, 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 really big place, miserable. How am I going to pay the rent? You know? So, good morning, everyone that's popping in a little bit later. Really good to see you. So the next question we have here is, am I investing my time with the right people? Yes, with the right people. So the first investment was, am I investing every day in my mind, my body, my spirit? You either say yes or you say no. Now the question becomes is, am I investing my time with the right people? Let's see, a client says, I got someone there. Obviously, the confidentiality here. So someone that's watching this right now in a group setting somewhere that's getting ready to transform their life in a really cool way. When you do something you don't love, it shows. Yeah. So what happens is when somebody goes through the motions and does something they don't want to do or don't love, it shows. And how does it show? It usually shows in their body language. It usually shows in the way they speak, their speech patterns. It usually shows in the way they delay doing the work or delay showing up, or the energy they hold within themselves when they talk about what it is they're doing. Like, it drains your vitality. And by the way, for those of us with substance abuse issues, if you don't do something you love for a period of time, when you go home, you cannot wait to drink or use, or you hate it so much that you can't even do it without being drunk or loaded. I know some people that can't go to work without getting it messed up. It's because they're doing something they don't love. Nobody, I understand, like musicians once in a while, they like to get a little toasty before they play. It helps their creative juices. But contrary to that typical belief, there's a lot of musicians, very high level successful ones, that had a substance abuse history and got sober and still played music without drugs and alcohol. They say, you know what? I'm a little bit more crisp. I'm a little bit more clear. I'm a little bit more professional. I'm a little bit more I'm a better version of myself when I don't have the drugs in my system. It's hard to say that to the one that's, a little bit zooted, thinking that they're more creative when that happens. But true creativity comes when we're clear, man. True creativity comes when we're clear. We can have moments of clarity when we're like on specific drugs or psychedelics or something like that, but that doesn't last. I mean, nobody's ever stayed in that state post-drug use forever. So thank you for that, Marina Crew. Am I investing with the right people? So it says most people can trace their successes and their failures to the relationships in their lives. Most people, so not everyone, can trace. And what does tracing mean? You go back to the root cause. You go back to you dissect it, you assess it. So your successes and your failures, you could trace it to the people you have in your life, in your circle. Choose that circle wisely. Let's see what we got here. We got a good Eileen, always good contributor to these groups. If you don't know Eileen, go watch the previous video. She always puts a couple nuggets in there. The question I sometimes ask myself is, am I walking through this day consciously or going through the motions without being aware? Oh my goodness. I think this might be the biggest problem of humanity right now. So at least I could speak on the Western world, because that's where majority of you are watching this, and you participate from this side, this way of living. And the reason I'm separating, the Western world and some of the Eastern world, if you will, is because there is a difference in the way people live their lives. I mean, just objectively. So we are the fast pace, the go, 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 the what's next, identifying with our accomplishments, feeling like we're succeeding when we're doing things. The Western world has transformed us from human beings to human doings. That's what it does. It took us from being a human being and now we're human doings automatically. So what does that mean? It means unconsciously you go through life, through the motions, doing the next thing, doing the next thing, doing the next thing, rarely ever stopping to wonder or ask and check in with the person that's doing all that, the human being inside all that. And what happens here is what Eileen said is the question she asked herself. In order to understand, are you walking through each day consciously or are you just going through the motions without being aware? There has to be a pause. There has to be a moment. There has to be the ability to take a deep breath. Take another deep breath and reset. And guess what? In a few of those breaths, you find yourself. I'm not making that up. Give it a try. It just worked with me. I was rambling like a psychopath for the past 21 minutes. I took a couple deep breaths and all of a sudden I was like, oh, there I am. Now, if I didn't stop and do that, nothing would have happened in this case. But what if I did that in the next thing I did and the next thing I did? By the time I got home at night, I would have not known where I was all day. So please ask yourself that question, Eileen. Maybe I add that next time I do this talk next year, there'll be an 8th question. And that's going to be it. That's your contribution to next year's discussion. Tony said, and by the way, if you don't know, Tony and Jim that are writing things here. Oh, let me say hi to someone here. Taylor, what is up? Proud alumni. Good morning to you. I think might be Kentucky. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's kind of that region at least. I hope you're still doing well and always proud to see alumni. So Tony, if you don't know, is also a certified addictions counselor, a program director, like over, decade, almost 15 years of experience. Jim is a primary counselor over here with Buckeye with significant amount of experience also, call it 15 and up, working in the field, 20 years sober, that kind of stuff. These are pretty solid resources in this group. And Kathleen, the whole Americanized, and I don't know if it's just Americanized. There's certain parts of the world. When we got into globalism and we got into the faster world and technology and all that stuff, it started to be like a blanket that the Western world, the Americanized world, started to take over into other places too. So, but I'm glad you're aware of it now. Awareness is the first step to change. And Taylor said, yeah, from Kentucky. See, I was right. I had 50 choices. I was able to successfully eliminate the ones in the West and the East because I knew you weren't there. I knew it was somewhere in the middle. And I went with Kentucky, and so thankful for everybody back in Buckeye. We're thankful for people like you that come through our doors and go back home and are able to maintain the transformation they received at Buckeye, man. That's a beautiful thing. So congratulations, and thank you for being here. So the next one we have here, where's my banner? Am I staying in my strength zone? Now, this one's a controversial one. Because I think our society with good intentions messed us up on this one. So the easiest way I can tell you this is whenever we're not good at doing something, so all of us are either good at something or we're kind of mediocre at something or we're like bad at something. And that's okay. That's what makes us all unique. For example, I don't have too much of an artistic mind. So I'm very concrete. I'm very objective. I'm very fact oriented. I'm very literal, as some of my friends say, and they laugh at me about how literal I am. I don't have too much of a creative artsy mind. And then there might be someone who can like see colors and see objects and kind of just like create things, but they don't have any ability to be objective or have any type of literal abilities, right? Everything's just so abstract. And there might be someone that's just they're with numbers and math. They can just off the top of their head, they can solve things and see things. Or there's people that can see musical notes, right? Like we all have something that we're good at. something we're average at, and something we're just horrible at. And that's okay. Okay, that's okay. That's what makes us human beings. That's what makes us different, unique. That's what makes us all come together and just create this world that has a little bit of everything. Now, in schools, they screwed us up. In schools, they screwed us up, and I'll tell you why. Whenever you're not good at something, they tell you to go work on it. Like if a kid is horrible at math, but amazing at music and arts, they tell the kid, you have to work on this math thing. You got to get this math thing up. Or if a kid is really, really bad at music and art, or like arts or something like that, but they're really good at numbers. They say, no, you got to go work on the other one. Well, research has shown that, let's say, if somebody is a 2 out of 10 on something, like you're 2 out of 10, so you're pretty poor on the scale of things on something, let's just call it math. If that person spends time, energy, effort, tutoring, special skills, special classes, whatever you want to call it, maybe at most they can get that 2, and they can take it from being very bad at it to maybe like a 4 or a 5. That's about it. It's going to get stuck somewhere around there. If it was going to get any better, it would have been better to begin with. Okay. So, you take it from 2 to like a 4. So it takes it from really bad to still like below failing, like still pretty bad. But if someone's a 7 at something, which is like they're pretty good, they're like a little bit better than average, and you put the time, energy, effort into the strength that person has, they might take it from a 7 to a 9, maybe even a 10. So it goes from being average to being extraordinary. It goes from being average to being freaking almost perfect. And that's the problem we have, is too many people try to work on their weaknesses instead of doubling down on their strengths. Like if I'm not good at certain things, I don't try to go learn them all. I'll just find someone that's good at it and have them do it, or ask them to do it, or get their support. There's no need. Henry Ford has been on record, and good, bad, and different. I don't know much about him, but he's been on record. He's saying, I don't know how to do anything. I don't know how to do everything. That's for sure. But he's like, I know one person that knows how to do a little bit of everything. And that's all that matters. So please take away this narrative that we all get trained to go like work on your weaknesses, work on your strengths. Let your strengths be your guiding light. Let your strengths define who you are. And then it's okay to have weaknesses. It's okay to say, I am not as good in certain areas. Who cares? You don't need to be good at everything. So the question is, am I staying in my strength zone? And the best quote that I have is this, and I want you to listen to this one. Almost every man or woman wastes part of his or her life in attempts to display qualities in which he does not possess. I mean, that's a powerful thing. You waste your life trying to show qualities that you don't have. And even if you get them to the point of being barely average, and no one's even going to notice them anyways. So double down on your strengths, triple down on your strengths. If I could go create curriculums for schools for children, I would do assessments to find out what these kids are good at. I would do assessments to find out what they're good at, what they're naturally good at, what they're inclined to do, what they prefer to do, what they love to do. And then I would put them in little sections that all you do is strengthen the hell out of that. You nurture the hell out of that. You work on that. You give them everything they need in order to become better and better at what they're already good at. And then you got like a very talented human being. Rather than getting a kid and exposing him to 17 different subjects, that 13 of which they suck at, and creating an average human being. That's what I would do. But I'm not in charge of education or curriculum. And I know there's some traditionalists that would have a problem with that, because they would say that that's not good to not be well-rounded and balanced and this and that. But how's it working so far, my friends? So let's see what we got here. Let's go to the next one. Almost done. Number 6, am I taking others to a higher level? Well, one reason I do this every week is because I ask myself this question every day, and I make sure that I am taking others to a higher level. It's not a brag. It's not a kind of a shameless plug. Whether I'm talking to you once a week on a Saturday, whether I'm text messaging one of my basketball players a night after a rough night and they're really emotional, whether I'm at the checkout stand of Trader Joe's, talking to the person talking to me, and making sure when they ask you, how's your day going? I ask them, I'm doing good, but more importantly, how's your day going? What are you excited about this weekend? What are you pumped up about? What are you looking forward to getting off work? Thank you for doing this, by the way. Appreciate you. Those little moments in life, those little conversations in life, we take people to a higher level. You want to know why? Because when you take someone to a higher level, you also have to go up with them. And guess whose view also gets better? Give it a try. You don't believe me? Go find a hill or a hike or something like that. Grab someone else who's got a really bad perspective right now and say, hey, let's do a little hour walk up there. Take them up there and have them take a look of the view. Their view changes. Their perspective changes. And because you're the one that took them up there, guess whose view also changes? Guess whose perspective also changes? Yours. When you help others climb a hill, you will get closer to the top yourself. That's what it's all about, you know. Am I taking others to a higher level? I hope you are. I really hope you are. I hope you pass this stuff on and do that. Let's see. I got Tony give me a little love. You level up by talking those at the level you want to be at. Yeah, for sure, man. It's like, that's always the case. That's always the case, man. Take people to the level you want to be at. That's a good way to live life, man. And the last one that I have here, probably the most important one, because for dynamic purposes, am I taking care of today? Don't put off something to tomorrow that can be done today. I mean, God, am I going to give you, is that the cliche of all cliches? Don't push off, don't put off to tomorrow what can be done today. Why is that important? Because today is all that we have. And you might say, well, there's tomorrow and there's next week and next month. Like, I didn't know you're a future teller. I didn't know that you're able to see things that other people can't see, because to the best of my ability and my goggles, there is no such thing as tomorrow, man. It's just today. And someone says, well, what if when tomorrow comes, then what? Well, then you'll ask me, hey, when is it again today? I'll say it's today again. There is no tomorrow. And this isn't some like weird psychedelic acid trip perspective. There is no tomorrow. All there is another today that is yet to come. All that we have is another today that is yet to come. Today plus 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 today makes 7 days called a week. You can take that by 365 and call it a year if you want. There is no next year, man. It's just this. So are you taking care of today? Is there a stack of envelopes somewhere in your house that you're just avoiding? Is there a conversation that you need to have with yourself or with others that you're not having? Is there a doctor that you need to go see because of certain things that you're not going? Is there a phone call that you need to make that you're not making? Client said, tomorrow isn't promised. Damn right it's not promised, man. Or girl, or I don't know who it is. Yeah, you know what I mean? So take care of today. And then I wouldn't be able to say this the way James would say it, get her done. I don't have that get her done in me. Well, actually, I did kind of. It was pretty impressive. For a Persian man to be able to say get her done like that was pretty good. Stay in today, man. Yeah, I know you live in today. I live in today too, Jim. And even though my mind, like everybody else's mind, might wander and worry about and stress about the future, I know I'm trained and I know and I believe that all I have is today. So if I take care of today, tomorrow won't work out exactly as I plan, but it would be closer to what I hope. And that's the best we can do as human beings. We can't predict the future. Shit, we can't even create the future exactly the way we want it. But we can influence what it looks like based on the actions we take today to hopefully have an outcome that is closer to what we want. Life is going to do a good job throwing things in the mix to throw us off, but that's the best we can do. Clients say, well, Tony, I think your client should just run this group for me, huh? We'll call it the Marina Family Education Support Group. I know a lot of this is coming from working with you, but yeah, you know, and by the way, so you know how I'm saying all these things, and there's clients over here that are, by the way, I don't know who this is. Robin, you're welcome for the work in the show. I love doing this. I really do. And thank you for participating. If it's not for you and the people here, it wouldn't make sense to be doing this. So I'm glad you're getting something out of it. And by the way, so all these, when Tony says these clients are saying today's the most important day of your life, here's the thing. These are program participants, right? In some facility, transforming their lives. And they have all these wisdoms and nuggets. So I believe that all of us have a lot of this information stored in us. I do. I really do. Whether we're struggling with addictions or not, I really believe that we have this stuff inside of us. Now it's a matter of being able to slow down, like Eileen said, get intentional and deliberate. Like, don't be an automatic human machine. Slow down and tap into this wealth and knowledge that we have. Tap into it. We have it inside of us. I've shared one of my talks with you guys, a whole entire book called I Learned Everything I Needed to Learn in Life in Kindergarten. There's a book out there called that, you know? So you technically don't need me. You learned it already, but can you apply it? Stacy, what did you say? By the way, hi. We saw your handsome son not too long ago at our facility. That was pretty cool. He's stopping by as a professional businessman. Living today, tomorrow is not promised. Appreciate and take care today. So true. Damn right it is. Jess, today's talk was super helpful. Gives me a lot to work on. Well, that's the point. You know, I'm trying to make you grow in your recovery. And but I'm glad you're actually tuning in all these weeks. I'll be back next week, everyone, and I look forward to this. Tony, the tortoise wins the race. You know, and that's true, man. Sometimes we try to go to point A to point B so fast. And I don't know if you guys ever heard me say this, and I'll end with this. The longest distance between point A and point B is a shortcut. The longest distance between point A and point B in life is a shortcut. And for those of you who are trying to take shortcuts, good luck. You're going to end up back in the same damn spot. Love and appreciate all of you. I'm going to go get ready for this basketball game. Wish the boys of Aliso and Miguel send them some good juju. We really need a win today. And I'll see you guys next week. And same time, same place. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you.